Hello, it is July 10th, 2024, and I just completed the life story of the world's most recorded drummer. Let the Drums Speak, Bernard Purdie. This book is outstanding. If you are a drummer and you don't know who Bernard Purdie is, look him up. The guy has played with everybody. And I already made a previous video about how this book, I was especially surprised when I opened it after I purchased it to find that it was addressed to Walter, who was a friend of the family, and especially to his older brother Nate. And Nate is mentioned in this book as well, so that was quite interesting. I actually felt privileged to touch his handwriting there where he had played or touched, because I wanted some of his greatness to rub off on my playing technique. This guy is awesome. It mentions Modern Drummer magazine, which I subscribed to when I was a young person. I used to get that all the time in the mail. It was quite a revealing and great connection to the drummer community. They're still around. Back then, that was my formative drum years, and they did exposés on Bernard at that point, but he'd already been well established. And this book is great because it isn't just about explaining his Purdie Shuffle, which I'll go into that more later, but it's all his upbringing, his family life, his struggle to be the best, his work ethic, his very, very high level of confidence that he maintained, almost to a fault, his just unending amount of work that he did. Just worked. Over 4,000 albums he's credited to, and you'll learn in this book that he's actually not credited on a lot of records because they had agreements in the studios to have them come in and, quote, sweeten the recordings, which oftentimes was replacing the original drummer altogether. And I was quite surprised to learn near the end of this book that there's a controversy regarding the Beatles, where Bernard actually played a lot of the Beatles tracks instead of Ringo, and there's a bunch of people mad about it because after the Beatles had broken up, Bernard admitted to this in a session where people were bragging on Ringo Starr, and he said, well, that was actually me that recorded that stuff. And I had no idea that, and that was quite shocking. He wanted to set the record straight, and then it caused a lot of firestorm for him. And I'm sorry that that's kind of a spoiler alert, but he kind of did the same thing, right? He was under an agreement to stay quiet about that, and he basically slipped his tongue. And so if he can do that, I can do it too. I'm trying to figure out what to do with this book because I really enjoyed it. I'm probably not going to reread it again, as I constantly read and I want to keep moving forward. But I did learn a lot about King Curtis and a lot of the players that he played alongside. The King Curtis stuff was very touching, what happened to him and how the community really kind of grieved together, and yeah, that was very touching. There's a lot of great stuff in this book, and I can't go into all of it obviously, but I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do a request that if you want this book, write in the comments below why you want this book, and if someone can convince me in the next few days before I do my donations, because I go to the library and donate books all the time, if you can convince me that you should have this book and I agree with you, I will mail you this for free. And it's got, like I said, Bernard Purdie's autograph right in the front. And maybe somebody, well, I shouldn't say that because then someone will customize their response. So back to the Purdie Shuffle. He's not a one technique guy. He plays a lot of tasty riffs, and the Purdie Shuffle is one that became epic because of the song Rosanna in Toto. Everybody knows how tasty and difficult that is, and that is a basically a modified Purdie Shuffle, as is Fool in the Rain from Led Zeppelin. And then Bernard used it on a few Steely Dan songs, Home at Last and Babylon's Sisters. There may be other ones, but just one of the most tasty drum grooves ever. And it was fun reading about his performances and things with other people, because then you go on YouTube and look them up and listen to the recordings, and or look up some of the videos. And I'm still going to look up some of those things. I actually want to read or learn more about the King Curtis situation at the end of what happened to him. I won't tell you what happened, but because it was quite touching. And I had never heard of King Curtis before, so I need to learn more about that person. And I was just very impressed with this book. The thing I like the most about this is, you've looked through my live and regular videos, you'll see I've been doing a whole series of great drummer books that I've been reading. And where a lot of them fail is to appeal to an actual drummer. They kind of go more wide for the average band listener, and they focus on their touring and their lifestyles with the band and things of that nature, but they don't really go into the loves of the drums. And what's cool about this is he could sight read. He actually even put the Purdie Shuffle in notation, so you could read it and learn it that way if you want to. Or there's a lot of videos online. Jeff Piccaro of Toto did a instructional video that included the Rosanna Shuffle, and he gave proper credit to Bernard. So I mean, there's so much I could say about this book. It's pretty long. Goes into his Aretha Franklin stuff, and it's just great. This is just a great book. All of his credits are in here with the jazz performer. He played jazz, he played blues, he played rock, he played country. He said to him it was all music, and he didn't even like to categorize music as a style. That he just felt and played what he wanted to play. And I mean, just so many good things to learn from this guy if you're a drummer. I'll keep it at that. Great book.